Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are going to be continuing on with Black Beauty, and I'm once again joined by Nova.
Hello.
Hello. Um, this book gets really sad really fast. I was like, oh, we're having. Okay, so listen. You know how, like, when you buy a new car, you suddenly see that everybody's driving that car?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was happening to me with Black Beauty and horses. So every time I saw a horse, I'm like, "Are you mistreated? Are you treated well?" Like, like how are you doing? Tell me about your life. Like, are you okay?
Oh
How do
my
your knees
gosh.
look? Like that's what I was doing while I was reading this. Like, I've been driving a lot more because of, hurricane shit. So I was passing by someone's house and they just had like a horse out front, and I was like, "How are you? Are you doing okay? Tell me about your needs." Like,
You really don't think about that stuff. And I think that's why this
yeah.
book was so good at bringing awareness to it.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, it's just like you go by and it's like horse, like normally. And then it's like,
Yeah.
wait, how are you? Are you being treated well?
Yeah,
How many
right?
owners have you had in the last 10 years?
I know, because it's like with a puppy, you can pretty much tell if they're being treated well or treated not well. With cats, it's like very difficult to tell because like until you get to warm up to them because they hide their pain very well.
hmm Horses are very like they'll either kind of like hide it or they'll react. And so you see a lot of like horses listed as too aggressive or like can't be trained, and that's usually a mistreated horse.
Mhm.
And the sad fact is a lot of them end up going to a slaughterhouse.
Sad.
Yeah.
I
So
was
I'll
getting
have to
real
send you a TikTok account because there's a horse on there that like they couldn't touch when they first got it, and now the
Mhm.
horse like follows them around like a little puppy.
Starting to want to cry. Ugh. So, speaking of crying, let's get into this book.
Oh.
So, chapter 25, Reuben Smith. So apparently he's a great worker, but he's a recovering alcoholic. Oh wait, I forgot. For this one, we're not going through the chapters. We're just gonna go through the book because otherwise, I'm gonna say the chapter every single time. I forgot we
Yes.
were doing that. Okay,
And
so we're
they're
just
really short, so it's like
yeah,
some of them are like 2 pages.
yeah. Because otherwise, I'll say like the chapter title every 3 seconds. So at least now you know where we started. But
Yes.
yeah, I will just go through everything that's happening. So we got Reuben Smith. He's apparently a great worker, but he's a recovering ish, somewhat functional alcoholic until he
Ish.
becomes not so functional.
Mhm.
Um, but something is wrong with like Beauty's shoe, and he's like Ruben just keeps making him walk on it, like not noticing at all.
Yeah, it's loose, which
Yeah.
if you're not drunk off your ass, you'd be able to notice by their gait of they'd be like, "Hey, something's up here." And so
Mm-hmm.
you'd be able to be like, "Oh, something's wrong with my animal."
Yeah.
And
But
but no, he's drunk.
yep. And so Beauty keeps trying to push through, but he eventually can't take it anymore and ends up launching this guy off of his, back or off of the carriage. And I was like,
It's on his
ugh.
back. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
is
on his
he on his
back.
back? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shoe comes off. And so it's like rough gravel, so he steps on a stone and it's painful.
Yeah.
So he goes down and that's how the guy goes flying off.
Yeah.
And
And then,
he's like, "Oops. I didn't mean to throw him."
yeah. But I mean, what are you going to do,
Yeah.
So, the dude's dead. Beauty's looking real rough.
Mhm.
Um, but they say Beauty's going to be fine. But they had to hold an inquest into this horse to make sure he didn't purposely kill this man, which is the weirdest thing. Like, who are you going to interview? The horse? Like,
Right?
what? Like, I don't understand. How does that even
Yeah.
work? So
I
weird.
always thought it was weird. I was like, I guess it's almost like a temperament test so you can decide like if this horse is actually a piece of shit. But
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
you're right.
okay.
Who are you gonna interview? Like, the horse is gonna be like, "Hi,
Nay.
how's it
Yeah.
going? I'm
Super
here.
weird.
I sit here with this guy all night. I don't know what else you want from me."
Yeah, they just like stare at each other for a while, and the guy's like, I think the horse is fine.
Yeah.
Like, what? Super weird. So then, while Beauty's out and about, he happens to see like this really messed up horse, and he's like, why does that horse kind of look familiar? And it turns out it's Ginger, and she's been ruined from hard riding. And this made me so sad.
Oh, yeah, when they, like, were in this little pasture recovering, yeah. She got pushed too hard. The guy wanted to win the steeplechases, and she did not have it, but he was like, "Go!"
Yeah.
And she's like,
Oh, this is not the point where he sees Ginger later on. I forgot that this is.
"No."
No. Yeah, so Ginger ruined by hard riding. It's not great. And then, so Ginger has to be sold off. Beauty's being sold off because his knees are ugly now.
Yeah, they didn't want Beauty because his knees were all damaged, and they're like, "Oh my god, we're all about show. We can have these."
Yeah, and these are the
And
same people that use bearing reins, right?
yeah, he's still at the same place at this point.
Yeah. So, Beauty got sold to Livery Stables. So, and then it kind of seems like these people, like, it's like a horse rental company. So
Yeah.
it's like the Uber of horses. And anybody who rents these horses obviously like does not care about them at all, which is really sad.
Yeah, it's just like, "Oh, you've never driven a horse before? Well, here you go. Have a carriage. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hope you can
But like,
figure it out."
best of luck. I believe
Mhm.
in you. And it says like these people are just like, because they paid for the horse, they'll just like ride him till they die, basically.
Yeah,
So they're like, oh, why do I have to look after something that's not mine?
exactly. They treat
Which
it
is,
basically like a rental car in a way.
yeah. Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah, now we got people treating horses like steam trains. It's really sad.
Oh
And then
yeah.
two horses like ram into each other because like the drivers are not paying attention and force these horses to like walk straight into each other.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
hate it. I hate it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I at this point I'm starting to wonder if there's any horses who have a continuously good life because it does not seem so.
There are some out there, yes.
I was starting to really question it. I won't even lie to you. So, I also was talking about how these horses seem to have a lot of self-reflection.
Mhm.
But I kind of like that they're giving us morals and opinions without it feeling like I'm being talked down to, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of kids books when I'm reading them, it feels like I'm just being like handed morals and being told to just enjoy them?
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that this lets you come to your own decision but still being like, yeah, this is really messed up.
Yeah.
Look how terrible this is.
You get to hear their stories and you kind of get to make your opinion off of it. But I mean, if you don't think it's terrible, who are you?
Yeah, literally. So now Beauty has been sold to a man named Barry.
Mhm.
So Barry does not understand anything about keeping a horse, so he hires people. Like this guy seems like genuinely decent, but he keeps hiring people and being like, "Okay, take care of this horse, please."
Yeah.
And because they know Barry doesn't know anything, they're just like absolutely abusing Beauty.
Yeah. The one that like stole all the feed.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
the
so
one
that
that didn't clean out his stall properly.
yeah. Yeah, so because, Beauty almost died like twice, the guy's finally like, okay, at this point, I don't understand anything about keeping a horse. Like, I have to sell this horse because it's way too much work for me to try and figure out what's going on all the time.
And he's been
Because,
chipped so much.
yeah, and I can't say I blame the dude.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, you're trying to hire people out because you don't know how to do something. and they just keep taking advantage of you, it's better off if you just keep renting a horse, I guess.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like he definitely had good intentions,
Yeah.
and it would have been almost better if he just like had brought him to another farm and was like, teach me,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
like hiring people. Like, yes, you a lot of them hire grooms and stuff, but
Mhm.
it's like, you should at least know a little bit so you can take care of it. Even if
Yeah.
you're not like as advanced as your groom, but that you'd know, oh hey, you haven't cleaned out this stall in like a week. My horse is gonna suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy that like convinced him you didn't need to clean out a horse's stall. I was like, "Bro, what?"
Right?
So messed up.
I'm like, I leased a horse, and one of the parts of the lease was I had to take 1 day a week that I had to come and like take care of him, and we had to
Yeah.
clean out the stalls.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it wasn't as bad usually because like a lot of times they're out to pasture, and maybe there's like one pile in there, so you didn't have to do like as much. But these are
Yeah.
also horses that their door is open except in really bad weather, so they're not being forced to stand there, you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, that's what we'd have to do. You'd have to clean the whole thing out. You'd go get sawdust. You put it back down. Make sure they had nice new
Yeah.
bedding.
I just
It's like, good lord.
yeah. I honestly have never really been around horses that much. I just can't imagine like even me knowing nothing. I can't imagine being like cool with being like, "Oh yeah, stable's full of poop. Yeah, that's cool. Whatever." Like,
Right? Or like you can see that it's wet from like them peeing.
yeah. Like, do you not have common sense? I don't understand.
Clearly not.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
Is it the funnest chore? No, but like it's just like any animal, you know. You have a dog, you got to pick up their poop. You have a cat, you have to clean the litter box.
Yeah,
You have a horse, you have to clean their stall. Wow.
yeah. Literally, it's like not that difficult.
No. And like if you have a garden, you can use the horse poop as fertilizer. I know a lot of farms with horses will sell like by the bucket and people will buy it because it works great.
Oh my god. Speaking of by the bucket, I saw this guy putting fish bait in his Tesla, and I was like, that feels wrong to me. Like, I don't know,
Oh my
man.
god.
Because you know that stinks. I'm like,
Oh
and he wasn't
yeah.
putting it in the trunk. Like this guy had like the SUV Tesla. He was just putting it
Mhm.
like on the floorboard area, like in buckets.
Oh
I was
my
like, yeah,
god.
no. No. If you have a Tesla, you have to have a secondary fishing vehicle.
If any of that even remotely spills.
Yeah, no. No. Because now your Tesla smells like actual trash.
Mhm.
Like if you can afford the SUV Tesla, you can afford the second vehicle to take when you go fishing.
Right. Or that's
Like
all he had and he spent it on a Tesla instead of,
no.
a fishing vehicle.
Yeah. Like, they have you seen that electric truck that people are like raving about? I can't remember what it's called though.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Get that. Get that instead of your Tesla, because then at least you can put it in the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
It's basically the same size. I don't know, not to judge people on Maine, but like the smell. The smell.
Mhm.
Just when you said cow manure buckets, to me that like smells the same. Like they don't, but it's close enough that it's like imagine putting cow manure in your Tesla.
Yeah.
Disgusting, because that smell lingers.
Yeah, it does.
You have to have a truck. Mm-mm.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
No, because I can't. I would not be able to like get in my car if I just loaded that in there.
No,
Ugh,
not at all.
gross. Okay. Anyways, so Beauty's getting sold again at like basically they have like a horse sell fair thing.
Yeah, it's like a little auction.
Yeah. And he essentially picks out his new owner, which I thought was adorable. Um
Mhm.
so now we're introduced to Jeremiah Barker, and he is
Little
a cab
Jerry.
driver. Yeah, he's a delight.
I love
He's great.
Jerry.
Yeah. Like he makes Beauty work, but still like, takes time for days off and like takes care of him. His whole family seems really nice. Like it's very cute.
Yeah. Like yes, he becomes a London cab horse, which is a rough job,
Yeah.
but he looks after Beauty. He makes sure he's fine and like doesn't rush him
Yeah.
like some of the others do. And so it's
Yeah.
like if that's the job you have to have, you're at least in really good hands.
Yeah, for sure. So then we also get introduced to Captain, who is an old war horse, and he tells us about how his old owner got a cannonball right to the face, and I was like, "What? What?" Oh, and then we get the lovely take on war, which I fully agree with. They're like, "I don't know why we were fighting, but I hope it was worth a whole bunch of good men and good horses' lives." I'm like, "Yes, queen,
Yes.
amazing." Cuz like that has been my biggest pet peeve about wars because I feel like it's unnecessary pretty
A
much all
lot
the
of it I
time.
feel like is, yeah. You
Like,
know, it's just like people wanting power. Oh, so we're gonna
yeah,
like, oh, look at me. I'm powerful than you, so we're gonna fight you. It's like, look, even animals don't do this. They fight over food
yeah,
and territory with good food. I'm like,
yeah,
we're so far beyond that now as
I know.
society. There's no reason for this.
And then it's like these politicians are starting wars that they don't have to fight in.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Rage, absolute
Oh
rage.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna go into that too much, but at least you now know my opinion on that. So, you know, we have this whole thing about how Beauty does not have to like race at all for like to get people there quickly. However, there's this one guy who really needs to get the 12 o'clock train after he took a nasty fall, and this is the one time that they're like, you know what? We'll do it. That's fine. Like, I like that it's showing that there's times where you have to break your own rules.
Yeah, it's very like, this isn't some asshole getting into my cab being like, I need to get there in 5 minutes and it's like a
Yeah.
15-minute trip. It's something happened, this guy got delayed, and he's
Uh
like,
huh.
oh crap.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even think he was begging for it. He was just like, oh man, I'm not making it. And they were like, no, no, like, you're not begging us for it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you there. I think they did it with like a kid in a hospital too, or something like that.
Yeah. They did it with a lady's mom's dying. Oh no, there was the kid in the hospital.
Yeah, they like raced across town.
Yeah. So basically, someone's trying to hire them to work on Sundays, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't work on Sundays. I will not do." All the other cab drivers seem to work on Sundays, and he's like, "I don't care if I'm a little more broke, but I will not work on Sundays. It's like I can't see my family, can't do anything. Like the horse is tired, I'm tired. No."
Yeah.
So, this lady is so mad that she will not go back to him for like over 3 weeks. And then we get Jerry kind of suggesting a strike. He's like, well, if we all just refuse to work on Sundays, maybe then people will realize, that you kind of need to give
Yeah.
people a break.
Yep.
Um, but then the lady comes crawling back to Jerry because she's like, I tried out all the other cabs and they're trash.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
wonder why.
Yeah. So, then we get the one time Jerry breaks his rule because the lady's mom's dying and she's really hoping Jerry can take them on a Sunday. And Jerry's like, you know what? Fine. Like, I would like if I was in that circumstance and someone else like could help me. I'd love to do that. So, um, they get there. Beauty gets to enjoy some time in a meadow. It's very cute.
He's having a blast out in the meadow.
Yeah, he's having a great
Running,
time.
rolling, grazing. He's like, I
Yeah,
did everything I could possibly do.
yeah. And Jerry's like, well, it kind of worked out because we still got a nice day out of it, which is adorable.
Mhm.
So then we find out winter comes early and it's disgusting out. And
Mhm.
Jerry is got hired and they're like, hey, uh sorry. Oh no. No. I skipped ahead. So winter came early, it's gross out, so they're kind of all hanging out and talking, all the cab drivers. And we find out about this guy named CD Sam. And he's like, you know what, the guy who's kind of a little bit in charge of all the cab drivers, not really, not like officially. He's like, hey, you and your horse look like really tired. Like you guys do not look great. You should probably rest. And he's
Yeah.
like, I can't afford to rest. He's like, I rent out this horse, I rent out this cab. They charge so much money that if I take any time off, like I cannot feed my family. And
Mhm.
it's really sad.
It is. I think
And
he
then
ends up passing away
yeah, he
because he
dies
gets so sick.
from like ammonia, I think. Maybe. Maybe not.
Something with that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he ends
I'm
up
not
like
100% sure, but he gets so sick that he ends up
mhm,
dying.
yeah. And I guess he's still bragging up till the end that he never took a Sunday off. I was like,
Hmm.
ugh.
My actions have consequences.
Indeed. Which I kind of like that the author was like, hey, don't overwork yourself. It's not worth it.
Right?
Like, what's the point of having a family if you never get to see them? You know what I mean?
Exactly. At that point, it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
I
just be
get needing to
single.
feed them and stuff, but even then, you see a lot of families that can't afford that. They're like, can you just be here
Yeah.
sometimes?
Yeah. So, this is the point in which Beauty actually passes Ginger in the road and he's like, who is that? And then Ginger looks at him and she goes, Beauty? Is that you? And he's like, oh, jeez, you look like that now. Like, she looks rough.
Yeah, she has been just beaten down.
Yeah, Ginger basically says that she's never able to rest and she's just hoping to die soon. And he's like, you don't fight back anymore? And she goes, I just want to die. And I'm like,
She's just been so beaten down that like that spark in her that made her so sassy and so fun is just gone, and she's like, I'm done.
yeah. And I'm like, not even a like paragraph later, you see Ginger's dead body drive by, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I like how he's like, I hoped it was for her, then like her suffering is over. And I'm like, that's just so sad of like how badly she was just like beaten down to the point of like she's not even there anymore. She's not
Yeah,
even in her own body.
so sad.
Right?
Yeah, we're getting real sad hours on these next couple chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, then we get to see a butcher's horse, and like this horse looks run ragged because this kid is like racing all over town, and he kind of talks about how people should really decide what they want to eat before they want it immediately because it's like
Yeah.
then the butcher has to sprint away and he goes if they could just put in their orders in the a day ahead then I could plan out my entire route instead of having to like drag these horses all over town. And
I
it's
do
like
like how he like scolded the kid for running the horse ragged.
yeah,
It's like if
yeah,
he wasn't having to be the butcher, you know that those horses would be treated a lot better.
yeah, it's just it's sad because it's like almost inevitable because it's like you either lose your customers or you treat your horses really well, and it's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because like in one hand you can't afford to live if you lose all your customers,
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand like you're like this is an actual living breathing animal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really sad.
It is.
So now we are at the point of elections happening and it's just a big yikes, and a lady is like in town while the elections are happening with a sick kid. And Jerry's like, "Hey, just get in the carriage. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm gonna bring your kid to the hospital." And she's like, "I can't afford to pay you." And he's like, "I don't care. It's fine. Just get in the hospital. Oh, get in the carriage." And so then, he gets this kid to the hospital, and he happens to run into like his wife's old mistress, and she's like, "Hey, if you ever need another job because like cab driving sucks, let me know and I will hook you up. Don't worry about it." Which is really nice. It comes into play later.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we learn about Captain again, and Captain uh they're just driving and a drunk driver slams into their thing. It really hurts Captain to the point where they have to put him down. Ugh.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest part. Like, my understanding of horses is if they like break legs or things like that, like they will just keep trying to stand up and keep like re-injuring themselves.
There's certain fractures of the legs that can be healed,
Yeah.
but others, it's like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, there was a racehorse, like you said, she broke her foot while running. They sedated her. They did surgery on her leg, fixed it up, put her in a cast. When she woke up, she
Hmm.
thought she was in the race again, and she started like running on the table. She broke the cast, broke the leg again. Well, she was thrasting around so much the cast broke her other leg, and so they just put her down at that point.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so sad.
they rely a lot on their legs, and
Yeah.
like if it's really damaged, there's not really anything you can do for it.
So sad.
Yeah.
Ugh. God, these chapters are gonna make me cry.
I told you, be warned.
Yeah. Ugh. So then we get another horse. The horse's name is Hotspur, and he seems fine. He seems nice enough, but it's just really sad because it's like they had to lose Captain for something that's like not even their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we get Jerry's new year. So Jerry is hired out as a cab driver, and they're like, "Hey, pick us up at exactly 11 o'clock on the dot." And Jerry's like, "Fine, can do." So he's outside there right at 11, and he's just waiting. It's 12:30 rolls around, still haven't come out. And at this point, I would have left. I 1000% would have left. I would have been like, "Okay, goodbye. Like, you can figure your own thing out because you can walk home for all I care."
Yeah.
No,
Um I will wait a little bit, but I'm not going to sit here and suffer all night for you to come out when you told me to be here at a certain time.
I would have probably waited max an hour. And then at that point, I would have been like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, that's what basically what I would have done. I'd be like, find yourself another cab. I'm not coming.
Yeah.
Good night. I've been out here an hour, freezing. At least
Yeah.
like let me in.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take
Right?
forever, let me in.
Yeah, no. So at 1:15, they finally come out, and Jerry is like, at this point, he's not doing great. He's like coughing up a lung. He's not feeling well. And he charges them for waiting, and they're pissed, but like deserved, you know?
Exactly. That's over 2 hours that he's been waiting there in the freezing cold.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, and they only live like a couple miles away.
Yeah.
So, no. So the doctor, Jerry gets home and they call for a doctor, and the doctor's like, "Listen, you have to stop being a cab driver, otherwise, you're gonna die."
Hmm.
And at this point, like, we already know Jerry's a family man. He's not gonna keep working if there's like risk of him dying.
Yeah.
So they decide to go work for the mom's old mistress, and uh Beauty gets sold again. So he is sold to a corn dealer, which Jerry thought this would be like a decent enough life for him instead of selling him to another cab driver. And I feel bad because it's like you get these things from an outside perspective. You don't know fully how things look on the inside. Like when you look at a corn dealer, you're probably like, ah, their horses seem okay, like you know, but you don't really like you don't know who's going to be driving them, anything like that.
I think it
So
said like the master of it was fine, but the master was never around. It was this like the guy in charge trying to make them go faster, get things done quicker. So he always
yeah,
overloaded them and whatnot.
yeah, and he
And
makes them use
so,
his bearing rein.
yeah. So probably Jerry knew the master and was like, "Oh, this guy's fine. This is a good guy. He treats his horses good." But
Yeah,
then they're never there. He's never there. So someone
yeah,
else is
yep.
having to do
So
it.
our first experience with this new place, Beauty is completely overloaded. They're trying to get him up a sharp hill, and he cannot do it. So a random lady just comes over, and she's like, "Take the bearing rein off of him so he can actually put his weight forward and like load this up." And you've already overloaded him. So once that comes off, he's finally able to like get up the hill. But Beauty starts talking about how he's so constantly overworked that he was starting to like go blind.
Yeah. I think it was like also the place was so dark
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, I forgot the.
that it was just like there was no light inside. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's like how coal miners would basically go blind.
Mhm.
You'd take them out into the day and they couldn't see anything because they've been in this mine where it's so dark for so long.
Yeah.
That the same thing was happening to him, as well as being so overworked that it's just strain constantly.
Yeah.
And blinders don't do anything for them anyway.
Yeah.
Like, a horse cannot see directly in front of it.
Mhm.
And so you have the blinders. So they're basically having like this little tiny bit of vision, like here and like here.
Yeah.
It's like he's not even like basically seeing half the time anyway.
Yeah. So then he gets sold off to a cab owner. This cab owner is a terrible person,
Mm-hmm.
and they think this might be the same guy CD Sam worked for.
Which is horrible.
Yeah, which is the guy with like heavy fines. He treats all of his horses terribly. He doesn't believe in rest. They just keep whipping him. And it gets to the point where Beauty is so exhausted he actually falls, like while on the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wasn't it with like a family and they were like,
Yeah,
no, like don't treat this horse like this, and the people were like, no, it's fine,
yeah,
and they're like, oh no, the horse is down. We told you.
yeah,
I'm like, mm-hmm.
yep. And then the cab driver's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna rest this horse, so I guess I'll just sell him off."
Mm-hmm.
So then he's getting sold off, and he's getting sold off for £5.
Yeah. He's basically at this point so damaged
Yeah,
that it's basically like, here, if you want this horse, it's basically you can basically just take him.
yeah. So he gets sold off to this farmer and his grandson, and who the farmer did not really want to buy him, but the grandson was like, "Listen, if we rest him, I think he'll be fine. Like I think he'll like come to life again." And
I
so
think he was only like 13 at this point too, which that isn't that old.
yeah,
They live like 25 to 30 years. Usually like old is about 20 years old.
yeah,
So like he's still in prime of life and he's just
yeah,
so,
beat up though.
yeah.
Yeah, so then they finally like this the grandson rests him, makes sure he's doing okay, visits him every day, takes really good care of him. And so Beauty's finally showing like good signs of life. So they're like, you know what, we're gonna make sure that he has a good life. We're gonna give him to these like three girls, who will just ride him and love him.
Yeah.
So he gets to this home, and their groom's guy is Joe Green, who almost killed him. And he's like, Beauty, do you remember me? I almost killed you. And Beauty's like, literally, who are you? He's like,
I know
I
it's
was,
been so long at first that he's like, I feel like I know this person, but who is this? And then it's like,
yeah,
oh, I do. I do know you.
yeah. And he finally gets like, I have a happy little ending.
I love that the ladies were like, well, we'll see like about this horse, and then Joe is like, oh my god, no, this horse is amazing. You want this horse. I
Yeah,
know this horse. Just keep him. You'll love him.
yeah,
And it's just so happy that like he finally has a happy
yeah.
ending. The thing I texted you about that I never realized before this
Hmm.
read, and like I've read this book like 10, 11 times now. When Mrs. Gordon, they have to leave for her health, they're
Yeah.
like, they pretty much are like, oh no, she's gonna die.
Uh huh.
There's a line at the end of this book that's like, oh, we need to write to her and tell her that her favorite horse ended up here. And I was like,
I did not
wait!
put that
I
together.
was like, she's still alive? Oh my
Yeah.
god. I was like freaking, I started bawling just over that one line.
Thank God, because
I
like
was like,
if
oh my god.
they went through all that and like she didn't make it, it'd be really upsetting.
Right? So that's what I texted you about. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Good,
But
excellent,
so yeah, Beauty's found his now forever home. He's not to be sold ever, which is excellent. He's
perfect,
basically gonna live and die with these nice people.
good, as he should.
Mhm.
Ugh. Yeah, so there's your. I'm glad that we got a happy ending, though. I know people are like happy endings aren't realistic. I don't care. Give me a happy
Yeah.
ending. I want a happy
I
ending.
I feel like this book would have been so different if it didn't have a happy ending. Like I get that
Yeah.
it was supposed to be about the abuse of carriage horses at this time, but it's
Hmm.
like I don't to have a happy ending just makes it so much better
Yeah.
because you do get that little bit of we've just spent the last half of the book like freaking out over like how bad he's been
Crying our eyes
treated.
out. Yeah.
And so it's like okay, he finally has a happy ending. And it's like we've seen that not everyone gets this case
Hmm.
throughout this, but our boy does. Our boy gets his
Yeah.
happy ending.
Thank God. Ugh. This book is so good.
I love it.
Really is. So next we're gonna watch some movies about this,
Yes.
and we're gonna roast the 2020 adaptation on Patreon.
Yes.
So make sure you join the $1 tier at least, and then you can get
I'm
that.
ready for this.
And then
I
we'll
have
also.
so many thoughts. I'm gonna become gothic.
It's
Um,
gonna be so
but
good.
about Black Beauty.
I'm excited. I cannot wait. I'm very pumped for this.
Hmm.
It's gonna be very good. So we will be
Yes.
doing that. Make sure to join us for the next episode where we'll watch a movie we're not gonna roast, maybe,
Hmm.
possibly, and then also the Patreon, which we will be roasting. But
Yes.
Nova, where can all the people of the internet find you and your stuff?
You can pretty much find me at Novosaurus Rex with two X's almost anywhere, and I have link trees attached to most anything. So
Yeah. So we will catch you all in the next chapter. Bye.
bye.